Hey guys, Drew here with a quick update. I've been letting you know whenever the podcast has become available on additional platforms like iTunes and Spotify, and I'd like to let you know you can now subscribe to ExoverseTV on iHeartRadio and Stitcher. Okay, that's it for this one. Enjoy the show. Welcome to ExoverseTV. I need to get a soundboard. That's what I need.
We've been talking about it for
the
like
next
5 years.
Evolutionary step of this podcast.
So we'll talk off mic, but the one I want cost about it's $600.
Okay.
But you can record right into it.
Yes.
With the memory card, and it's got like fucking 8 things that you can program multiple sounds into the soundboard. You can just record right into that. You can do Bluetooth your phone. You can phone in. You can all the mics plug right into it.
Yeah.
How many cup holders?
7. Exactly 7.
Jeez.
I mean, tell you the truth, for $600, the mixer is like $4. The rest of it's only cup holders. Beautiful, deep cup holders.
Nice. Yeah, that's something to think about. Okay, so hey, I am here with 2/3 of the Retox podcast, Danny and Jay. We are missing Derek this evening. Derek, we miss you.
Currently
on his way to misery, right?
Yeah, he's in New Mexico.
On the road to misery.
New Mexico
According to
at this moment?
According to his last nap.
Okay.
I wonder if he found
6:30 p.m.
I wonder if he found the what did they say they found?
I don't know.
It was like a green chili something Big Mac.
The last thing I saw was Grand Canyon. Then I was at work, so
gotcha.
So I have to check in.
Gotcha.
I've driven through like that way 4 times in my life, and I've never stopped because I just was too crunched for time. I hate that.
Yeah. I've done the drive to and from Chicago, and but we just take the 80. They're going south, and
I'm not sure. Yeah, it was very confusing to me, like why they went that way.
They went down to Bakersfield and made a left
through Tehachapi and whatnot.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. That's what I did, but
I just work here, bro. I don't know.
Yeah. So, Derek, we wish you safe travels. I didn't get any notes from him for this episode. I welcomed that, but
he was busy with.
I'll let you make them up.
Sharks were happening and moving was happening.
Yeah,
there was nothing else happening after that.
Yeah, he saw the episode.
Whatever
that's
the consensus of what people felt. Derek felt the opposite. That's just kind of Derek's role.
Okay,
That's kind of how he rolls with things. If people genuinely really dislike something, Derek's going to find a way to be like, oh, well, let me bring this back home. Or vice versa. If everyone really likes it, he'll be like, no, I don't know. He has to be the contrarian. That's Derek. Yep. So I for some of these things, I guess I can.
We'll see if we can kind of put that into
Derek.
play here.
There you go.
All right, so guys, episode 5 of Game of Thrones, The Bells, was on Sunday.
Lowest rated
episode of all time. Yeah.
Not something you want for your penultimate episode.
No. It was pretty shocking that people had such a response to it. I'm sure that throughout this episode of this podcast, we will be...
I would almost feel like that should be more of a higher rated one because... Well, not rated.
No, so the thing about it is it was very poorly received by a lot of people.
Yeah. Maybe I was thinking viewed.
And before...
viewership was probably way up.
Without exactly. The viewership was high, but with
the ratings, though.
And it won't suffer next week. Let's not sit here and pretend people will be like, well, I'm done watching.
Yeah. It seemed to be a reaction based on things not happening the way that people wanted them to happen, but I would have a hard time believing that you actually thought this or that was impossible.
Characters maybe not performing the way you thought they were, and then also a lot of the other backlash I heard was like something we've gotten into a little bit, not to where it to me takes away from the show, but like it is moving so fast, and some people think that like characters are just being stomped over as a result or something like that.
And that's actually a really good point because to start the episode off, that was one of the things I wanted to talk about was because the initial opening sequence to this episode is us witnessing Varys betraying Dany by in the form of writing letters and sending ravens out throughout Westeros. That was the opening scene.
Right.
One of his little birds comes in, and it's hinted strongly, if not very obvious, that he's attempting to poison her because she's trying to slip her meals and she's not eating. And so Varys, says, okay, we'll try again at supper, this and that. Right. It's a very, very cool scene
Yeah.
I love seeing Varys do all of this.
Definitely didn't catch it till the second viewing. Like when I initially, I'm like, oh, he's like keeping tabs on her or whatever. But then like the way it was worded, then I brought it back. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. Like so what? Again, without straight up saying it, yeah, that's the vibe that you get.
Yeah,
and you send her back to the kitchen.
Yeah,
all right, back to the kitchen with you, little one. Keep on working at it.
But so this does play a little bit into what people online are discussing about the speed of events in this season, because I guess I would have thought that what we watched might have been maybe the opening scene of this episode might have been maybe the ending scene of, like, if it was a 10 episode season, might have been the closing sequence of the episode before, and then it would maybe spend the entire next episode teasing the audience: is he going to be caught? Is he going to be executed? Blah 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 blah.
Right.
Instead, what we get is all of that
instant justice
in about 7.5 minutes, which it was. I think it kept me from feeling the impact the way that maybe the screenwriters expected me to feel it, but. I
can see that.
But if you have, like I think we've been able to do by talking about it so much on this podcast, if you have come to terms with understanding that this is how these episodes are going to go, this is what the pacing is going to be.
It's not
that part can't shock you.
It's nothing new. I mean, this is something that we've dealt with. I know we had the year gap in between, but this goes back to the previous season too. Like again, like we're cutting out like the meat, the potatoes of this. We're getting straight to the meat. Like this is every episode is going to be. But do you remember like 3 or so episodes 1, 2, and then 4? Everyone was just so upset about like how much time they were spending on talking.
Yes.
On talking.
Yeah.
And it's like this one being such an action episode. While yes, it is a big death, and like it signals like a big turn for her in general. It was again like we could have done this for an entire episode, but the result would have still ended up being the same.
Yeah. And I can see people making the argument, too, that, especially because this is all fiction, it's like, well, they could have ended all of this 4 seasons ago. I mean, they did spend 8 years letting this all drag out to a degree. So it's not necessarily that it was too fast, but I can see where people are coming from.
The thing, again, what it really boils down to is that, like, for 6 seasons, we toiled with 10-episode seasons where there was so much filler. And again, like, for a lot of, like, us junkies on this show, that's great. The issue now is that, like, we're not getting all that filler. It's just go. It's just go over and go and go. But to me, I don't feel like things are getting the same way some people do. I don't feel like certain things are getting skimmed over. Like I don't get that vibe. Like I mean, like I feel like I've paid attention enough over the years to where the things that are happening for reasons that have been set in motion over the course of this entire series. Like I mean, just because it seems like it's out of left field or like oh they have it. This is just something that like the writers got lazy and they just want to wrap this up. It's always been building towards this. Yes, in these last couple seasons, we're getting there way, way fast. But you can almost tie it to Daenerys getting to Westeros, the accelerated nature of like basically it was from the minute she landed. It was just all go from there.
Yeah,
so,
I like that. Yeah. What do you think, Jay? I mean, does the pacing weird you out? You kind of binged the first seasons of the show recently, didn't you? Oh, you've been keeping up with it all the time?
I've stayed on from day one. I feel like for what it is, it's like, you knew. It's like they didn't lie to us and be like, hey, guys, 10 episodes. And then, like, all of a sudden, like, the budget got fucked up, guys. Sorry. 6.
Yeah.
No, like, we knew. So you knew there's a lot of things that you had to get wrapped up in this, you know what I mean, in that time. So the pacing feels fine to me. But once again, I'm the guy. I literally, like, we recorded, right? Nick was watching that episode.
Oh yeah, that was terrifying because
And
we're in here recording the retalks, and I hear it on in the other room, and I mean it's not like super duper loud, but loud enough to where you can hear like the ambient noise, which obviously like it became once I'm watching the episode, I'm like, oh yeah, that's the stuff I was hearing. All that chaos, that's what I was hearing.
Oh, children.
So like we closed the door or whatever, and we just ignored it, and we walked out and told them to pause it. They leave. I think possibly by the time you guys are done, or what happened? Was he done, or did we go out for a break? Is what it was, or we paused it and then you left.
Yeah.
Okay, so I didn't watch it until like 11:30 or so. I guess I don't know. Like so, he was done watching it, walked them out. I went in and just kind of watched it, and so I was a little tired, and just like ugh. Let's get this in because I got to watch this shit before I go to work tomorrow because somebody's going to fucking talk about it. Or, we're in chat groups and then I'm in other chat groups with people talking about the shit. So I think maybe and once again, me just turning my brain off and watching shows and enjoying it for what they are. I feel like the pacing was still fine. I feel like the way it's breaking up or how it's broken up over the 6 works out for me.
Yeah.
Just like as just an easy breezy dude, you know what I mean?
I think the pacing's great for the way that we are now seeing that they are deciding to tell the story. Like retroactively with each episode that passes, you're realizing like, oh, okay, well I can see why they glossed over, quote unquote, glossed over this or skipped over this or whatever. Let this go.
Yeah.
I think it's just sort of back to the opening sequence. I think it's just sort of the only negative, if I wanted to try and critique it, because I am on board with it, but for some of these major, like season 1 favorite characters, when I guess I'm sort of catching myself realize maybe 5 seconds after an event happens, like, oh my God, there's a little bit of a delay. My brain is not catching up to it. By the time I'm digesting, like, oh, this is about to happen, then it's already happened.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
While in previous seasons, it was like you spent that week going, is this going to happen? Like, holy shit.
Even last year, you had like 2 episodes for the Baelish one. Like, I mean, like again, like Baelish being the counterpart to Varys, you had it spread out. You saw sort of like the seeds he was planting.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't until the end of the next episode, or even like it might have been over the course of 3 episodes.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until the end of that 3rd one that he got his just rewards or whatever. But I mean,
what was the reason for that year hiatus? Like production.
My understanding is they filmed them back to back.
Yeah. The explanation that they gave the public when they were announcing that there would be a delay was they said because they wanted to be filming in winter because winter was now here.
Oh, okay.
It had to do with just the locations they were planning on filming at. They wanted to wait so that they didn't have to do
like
that
fake
much.
winter.
Yeah, because I think that. Yeah, I mean, I think that authenticity really helps with the cinematography and everything. So. I guess it was just that.
But then, about like the year hiatus, I'm a little unclear as to why that was a thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure the information is out there, but I don't necessarily remember. I just remember them saying like, you're not going to get a single episode in 2018. You're like, what?
I haven't looked too deep because I've been afraid of accidentally finding spoiler stuff.
Gotcha.
So I've been ignoring all of that. I wonder they might touch on it a little bit in the documentary, or figure it out when we talk.
Isn't
about
that the best at the end of this episode? Where
Yeah.
they're like, hey, you know how next week is the last episode? Don't worry, the week after that we have a whole like documentary. I'm like, yay, it's not over. Can we play that for the next 2 or 3 months?
Yeah.
I just want to watch that.
Also, can we just have a moment of silence for the poor fat dude who's walking around in the castle eating all the poison food that was meant for her?
Oh, I know.
Because it's some motherfucker like me walking around there like, no, she didn't eat this. All right, fuck it, I'll just shit.
That must be how she found out, because she totally knew.
A trail of just dead fat dudes.
Tyrion comes in to rat Varys out,
Right.
and he's just like, and she just. Well, at first she guesses that it might be Jon Snow, but
She doesn't guess. I mean, she says it, and he's like, "No, it's this person." And then she backtracks it to like, "Yeah, it is Jon Snow." In the grand scheme of all this, Like, that's who she identifies as the initial betrayer.
Oh, okay.
Oh, because he didn't give her no dick.
Yeah.
Was that later?
That's the later scene.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
the later scene.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it feels like it's a recurring scene in like every episode.
Yeah.
Like her throwing herself at her nephew and him just being like, Auntie, no.
And you know what's really funny too is so for years everybody has been online like, you know, talking about how disgusting this is, that they're auntie and nephew and all this kind of stuff, and before it was revealed, after it was revealed, but then even again it became a big topic when John finally tells Danny, and then now, like after this episode airs, where you know, John doesn't like straight up tell her, you know, like, I don't love you because we're related and you burn people alive. He doesn't say it, but he has the right face on. You know, look on his face.
His eyes are like...
The internet's all confused. They go like, I don't understand why won't John fuck his aunt anyways? And it's like, wait, you guys just spent 5 years talking about how this was the most disgusting aspect of the show, and now everybody's so confused why we can't get any dialogue
As I
explain
explained to Game of Thrones people were getting into it. It's like, this show is going to give you some weird feelings about incest to the point where some of it's going to seem really bad, and by comparison, other stuff isn't. Like, I mean, like, it's all bad, like out of the realm of this world. But you're gonna be like, yeah, you know what? I mean, they didn't know. I mean, they don't look all that alike.
Right.
It's not his daughter or daughters. I don't know. So anyway, so we're spiraling a little bit here. Let's get back. I mean, we've kind of hinted at it, but
yeah. So Tyrion, he rats on Varys. He does inform her that she has been betrayed. The next scene that we see is Varys again writing additional letters, more copies of the same letter, I assume. He hears the footsteps coming. He knows
that one though. I feel that's a weird one.
Yeah, that was, well, I guess
he hides.
Yeah.
But it ends up being one of his little birds or whatever. But the second one he burns.
And at that point, he had several copies rolled up on the table, I believe. I think he had like 3 or 4 rolled up. And then on this one, he burns it. Now, as soon as I start to think about, like, why did he burn it? The only thing I can think about is, well, he also did the thing with his rings, and I don't know if I'll ever get an answer to that. Because
he just took them. I don't know. He took them off, and I knew, like, he heard the footsteps, and he's just like, well, this is going to be a rat.
Yeah, there are people theorizing things that what it could symbolize, like even like some Lord of Light shit, and it's just like, we've got one episode left. Like,
here's my. Put my little tinfoil hat on. Here's what I'm guessing.
Okay.
When the books are all said and done, people might get to go back and find that as some sort of Easter egg.
Okay.
Maybe we will find out something about his character when the story's all said and done in the books that shows that the writers knew this, but they didn't include it in the show.
Okay.
How many more books
that's the only thing I can
doing?
think of. Because I also thought, remember when in the last episode when Euron attacks Dany's forces showing up at Dragonstone, right? Tyrion has to jump in the water and he gets knocked out by the thing. He gets knocked out as far as they want you to believe.
Right.
He shows back up on the beach. Varys is right next to him. Kind of plays into my whole merman theory a little bit. And I was just like, oh, and it wasn't like I thought they were telling me that.
Right.
But it made me feel like the writers threw it in as sort of like a joke, like, because they know that the internet thinks that, you know? So I don't know.
That does make sense.
So I wouldn't be surprised if Varys
fake death rattle cough, like, this is hard for me.
Yeah. And so Varys is brought to the beach in the dead of night.
Amazingly shot scene too.
Yeah.
I know we've had a lot of like dark scenes and people complain about that, but this one was just like, because the way the screen was set up initially, it's just her, and then it pans out. You're like, oh, I know what's about to happen.
Yeah. She sentences Varys to die. Drogon comes out of the shadows
with that hesitation shot too, because he comes in, he goes back out, and then he comes and then just roasts.
And right before that moment, that was a really cool thing. Tyrion touching.
Yes, okay, I was wondering if you were going to mention that. So I mean, like, there's the moment where he looks at it, and then I don't know if it was like after the show or someone. I think it was.
Like,
they were talking about it. Like, no one's ever touched Varys in this entire show.
Yeah,
not really.
He's never been touched.
Yeah, and I think they even. If I remember correctly, I think they said that the actor just sort of threw that in because he was aware of his character. It wasn't even written that way.
Yeah. Huh. But so I mean, like, because again, like, he's a person, but like, do you ever really just look at him as a person? Like, I mean, it's always just
The
like
spider.
The spider. He's the spider. He's missing his cock and balls. Like he feels like this entity more than anything else. And then when Tyrion just lays hands on him, he's just like he just looks and he's like, you can go back at any other point in the show and you will never see him be touched.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy.
So, yeah, I never even thought about that.
But then, again, like there are probably worse ways to go than Dragonfire. I know it gets a little bit of a bad rap. It seems instantaneous.
That one definitely seemed instantaneous.
Yeah,
no scream.
No scream, no
anything.
nothing.
Yeah.
That or he just went out like a G.
Yeah.
Like, not gonna give you the satisfaction.
If you get the side of it, then that's probably bad. But if you get that straight on blast, that's like so. That's
You think that's what
weaponry.
Drogon was doing? Is he was like,
He's
Like-
we're not trying to make
lungs.
this bad.
yeah.
You got us over here, and I appreciate that. I'm trying to make this as painless as possible.
He's like, I know who my mom is.
Yeah. So if you wanted to, you could just burn him right at the feet. He would have just a little bit, So
Okay, so we say goodbye to Varys. Right after that, we have a scene with Jon and Dany. This is that recurring theme of Dany throwing herself at Jon and being rejected, setting herself up for that. This one seemed obvious. She had just executed somebody moments prior.
well, there's the moment right before it's her and Grey Worm. They're standing at the fire.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, she gives Grey Worm Missandei's collar, and he throws it into the fire. And I can only
Girls
assume,
always be into chokers. It doesn't matter what time period.
and that one's a gnarly one too.
Yeah.
Thick. Not to me.
Nice.
But so Grey Worm lets it go. He tosses it right into the fire. And I wrote in here in the notes. Seems like that's just his excuse to just go back to the thoughtless, heartless thing that he was
the
before.
unsullied. That's just what he is again.
Yeah, and we will see later in the episode that he, whether or not he accomplishes that.
Right.
Yeah. So Grey Worm, he says his final goodbye to Missandei, and that is when Jon approaches the room, and we have a moment with Jon and Dany. You guys have any thoughts on this? Because I felt like this was kind of like I knew where this was gonna go.
Yeah, well, again, like we've already seen in lesser fare him, kind of turn her way in that manner.
Yeah.
Again, it was a little bit weirder because he comes in and he's like, "I love you," and I was like, "Oh, okay, well,
Yeah.
like maybe," and it's like, and then she's makes her move. And the kiss sort of happens. You're like, okay, you're focusing. It's like, is he kissing back? What's happening? Is the beard rustling? I can't tell. And so again, like, so it was more important, I think, the line that she's talking to when they're initially talking. She's talking about the fact that Sansa is just as responsible for Varys dying because Sansa's the reason that Tyrion knows, and Tyrion is in a roundabout way. Again, it's all Jon's fault, but Sansa is just as responsible. It's like, no, Sansa didn't burn him alive. Like it's you're really sort of, again, like at the end of the day, you are not taking responsibility for your own actions. You are still the person who burned this man alive.
Yeah. Could have just locked him up.
There's she also mentioned something about like the way that people look at you here, they don't look at me that way. Or something to that effect.
Yeah.
They love you. And she was like,
I don't have love here. All I have is fear.
And then that's when he says, I love you.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, all right, well, that's nice. And then the kiss happens or whatever. And then she pulls away. And then she says the line here. Like, honestly, this is going to be like a quintessential Dany line. Just to let it be fear then.
Yeah.
Like, I
Yeah.
mean, like,
Well, because she pulled away because he said, I love you. You'll always be my queen.
Yeah.
And then she kissed him. And then she was like, but like, only your queen?
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, bitch.
Yeah.
Use my auntie.
Scene.
Yeah, she's like, all right then. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let it be fear. So yeah, and so that's and we will see the results of this break. We'll see what happens as a result of it. But this is when she, I guess, officially breaks.
Could have just dicked it down one at a time.
Yeah, I mean, but yeah, that's it. She had potentially one remaining ally, one remaining friend, one remaining whatever you want to call it.
And again, like, so yes, I don't think that she views him now as an enemy. Like I don't. But again, he is still a threat. In a lot of ways.
She feels so alone.
She does,
and to know that John is definitely. He's not looking like he's going to help her further her goals. You know, if what she is now hoping to achieve, because she's in her mind, she still thinks that all of this stuff is hers by right, and it's coming to her by default, anyways. But the reason why she wants John to love her is so that she can then have the love of, like, represents having the love of all the people as well.
Yeah,
because she's in love with him, but I also think that. The reason why it's such a big deal on the show
something different to her. Like, I mean, it's at the very least, it's second to what she wants. I mean, it is still just like an asterisk to something. Like, I'm just like, oh yeah, and also this. Like,
she would sacrifice him.
100%. Yeah. But then we have sort of our little final battle plan with Tyrion. And the Grey
Worm's there.
Yeah, they're all sitting there talking about it, and that's when he gives like the initial thing about the bells. Like they're talking about the bells in that scene, and if they ring, they're surrendering the city. And he gets her to watching it the first time. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, she agrees, but there's definite hesitation there, and she's looking, and she just gives a slight nod to Grey Worm.
She seems to not really be listening. Like she seems to be like maybe sort like her mind it was made up at the end of the last scene with John. Yeah. You know, is what it seems like, and then this is just her trying to figure out. She's reading the room to see who's
still with her.
Yeah, who's still with her? Maybe
who's there with the original plan.
That's what it kind of felt like to me. That she,
No, I can see that. But again, at the very least, it seemed like what he viewed as like she's on board was like at the very least like
we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see how that all plays. Yeah.
I've never heard those bells. I don't know.
They might be like those type of bells that just incite like Christmas bells. Some people are just not into it. Like, carols and whatnot. Yeah. But she does inform him of a certain capture.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So while Tyrion walks away feeling a little bit scared and defeated, not sure if Dany really cares about him pleading for her to allow the city to live, she informs him that Jaime was captured while he was trying to cross the lines
going down
back into the King's Landing.
King's Road. Like no one's gonna recognize me.
Yeah.
Like,
and sure enough, I mean, you know, so we can jump right to it. You know, she lets Tyrion know that this is what happened, and then later, I don't know, 5 minutes later,
once they get to the camp,
once they get to the camp, Tyrion approaches that tent and talks to his brother and asks him, you know, he's like, "How did they find you?" And he just lifts his gold hand up. Cersei did tell me I was the stupidest Lannister.
I love how you pulled rank though on the unsubtly. They was like, "Yeah, we was told to say." He's like, "Yeah, by who?"
Yeah.
By the queen? No. I will move, bitch.
Yeah.
He's only got a couple days left, so he's got to like wear out that hand of the king, like, you know, no.
Yeah. So this is not directly blatantly stated in the episode, but do you think that that's going to be one of the first things mentioned in the next episode? Is that she's aware that he let Jaime go?
Is it?
Can't tell if
it's one of those things that like
something's had to happen, because when she hit him with the, you know, if you fail me again, it'll be the last time. Like, you fail anybody.
But did she actually fail him? Like, I mean, again, like in the grand scheme, she ended up succeeding. A part of me feels like I don't know if it's even going to be news that gets back to her.
Right.
Like, at least right away. Like, I mean, I know that there's these people that think, like, yeah, the opening scene is going to be Tyrion being roasted. And it's just like, I don't know. Like,
it didn't occur to me throughout the rest of the episode that it was going to get back to her.
If I was Tyrion, like, nobody's looking for that motherfucker. Like, shit is happening. Just 2 fingers, man. Deuces.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, we know ain't that many imps around. Oh, sorry, imps. Ain't that many little people hanging around.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure he could find something.
He can fit on that dinghy with Jaime and Cersei.
Yeah. Like, he could just dip out. Yeah. Like, you know what? It's not what I got.
But, I mean, then you have that very touching farewell between Tyrion and Jaime that ends up being like their final farewell.
Yeah.
And I mean, again, like a lot of man tears. Like, I mean, just
that was great acting.
So
that
good.
Was really cool. I like that dialogue. That was great. Yeah, and did you assume too in that moment that was their final scene together?
Yeah. Again, like I think we talked about in the last episode, I didn't think Cersei and Jaime were making it out of this episode alive. I didn't think it would go down the way that it did, but again, like I thought this would be the last time we saw them.
Okay, yeah. So right after that, we start setting the stage for the big events that are going to be taking place in the next 2 acts. So we start seeing where all of the major players are heading. We see Arya and the Hound infiltrate the city. They make it through the gates, pushing their way through. Jaime makes his way in as well. Decides to slip that glove off and re-expose that gold hand before he's even made it into the city, which I thought was sort of a poor choice.
It's his VIP pass. That's
That's why he was like, "Hey, guys,
I'm among friends now."
But is he? Like, is that an assumption that you're making when you're re-entering?
Well,
the city that you abandoned.
Yeah. At the very least, he'd figure like, "Oh, they'd see me." And then he'd get captured, and
there you go.
Now he's got to go face, face assistant while he left.
Yeah,
but he was just like, "This will get me in."
Yeah, this is my go to jail card right
Yeah.
here.
And when nobody looking at his ass,
the Hound and Arya slipping into, because it goes right to like the morning of. It's showing King's Landing. All the people are funneling towards the Red Keep.
Yeah,
but you see who's made it into the city. Jaime's in there. The Hound and
the Golden Company makes their way outside of the gates to
that scene with the Golden Company and the person in the back. It was exactly who we thought it was, Jaime, but it wasn't what we thought it was.
No, I don't remember what my prediction was. I don't know who I thought it was.
No, it was like that. Like the Golden Company had turncoat.
That's right. Yeah. That's what I thought it was. Yeah.
But I mean, it was that exact scene. And you're like, oh, that's the exact person we thought it was because that particular hood and like it looked like the same guy. But it was like the way it was shot. It was just they were walking out of the city, to guard it, and he was walking into it.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Harry Strickland, Golden Company. They're outside the gates to meet the Unsullied Dothraki and Northern armies. We see Euron and the Iron Fleet, patiently waiting. They're looking out for the dragon, and then we see Cersei, Qyburn, and the Mountain. They're all holed up in the Red Keep. So we have the geography set for the episode.
King's Landing gets bigger and bigger every season.
Yeah, it's huge.
It's massive.
That thing was huge.
I want to go. I can't wait to rewatch it and see how small it is by comparison.
In season 1 or something.
Yeah.
Because I felt like when what was it? The Sept of Baelor blew up. I thought that was like a quarter of town.
Yeah, I was actually kind of when we were seeing like the overview. I'm like, where is this? Where did the Sept used to be? Like, did they build like a Dave and Buster's there? Or something?
So then Dany shows up. She takes on the Iron Fleet first. She does exactly what a bunch of people on the internet thought would have been smart, which uses the sun. Right. To blind the Iron Fleet and just does essentially a straight dive.
The scene that we see with Euron, I mean, that's the him looking up, and then she just goes straight down. And I mean, I think a lot of people had a lot of takes as to what was gonna happen. I think there was a lot of things about like multiple dragons. I think there were people that thought like armored Drogon, things of that nature.
That would have been fun.
What I loved even more is that it was neither of those things, and it was just Drogon wrecking shit. Like I think we just forgot. Or maybe it's just because we haven't seen it. Like
I was shocked.
Destructive
one dragon could be.
But I mean, he is sort of like the embodiment of the dragons of old. Like I mean, so whereas Rhaegal and Viserion spent time in captivity, he was able to kind of like that was what hindered their growth.
True.
He spent his entire life out and about.
Yeah.
So he was able to sort of become like this massive dragon.
Yeah.
And again, like so. Yes, so the issue that people seem to have is like, well, how are they suddenly so sucky at like aiming at the dragon? I'm like, you understand the difference between hitting one dragon, traveling at a leisurely pace that you're prepared for. Like you're sitting there and that's what you're preparing for. Whereas this dragon, you get one shot, you miss, it takes forever to reload, and it's just wrecking everything in its path anyway.
Yeah.
They're slow. Like I mean, like the if you don't hit it, the scorpions are very slow.
Yeah,
like,
and he came for all the scorpions first.
Yeah,
I mean they were the first to go. So I mean, yeah, you're right. I mean, how many of times did they get an opportunity to reload or even shoot their first one?
You basically got one shot, and when you missed, that was over.
Yep.
I mean, like so Euron was one of the first shots. And he never got another shot.
And it's not like all of those soldiers really have like equal training and skill.
And it's again just the sheer sort of like like once you're in that, like the adrenaline of it, like oh my god, like all that shit is destroyed. Like I mean, like like to think that you'd be the most clear-minded person in the world in that scenario, it's just folly. I mean, it's just like thinking that you're it's armchair quarterbacking. That's all it is.
Yeah.
So I loved it. I loved just the pure destructive power of just seeing Drogon ruin the entire Iron Fleet, and like. There was to go back to the scene before this though with Jaime and Tyrion when they're talking and like Jaime's like, well, she might win. We've underestimated, and he's like, she's not going to win. Yeah. Like he is so certain, and I'm like, what does he know that I don't know? Like I mean, and it's just like it's that Drogon is literally. It's not an equalizer. It's a cheat card.
Well, I think we see now why the last few episodes we've been sitting around going, why do they think that everything's so even?
Yeah.
Why do the Northerners think that they have just as much to bring to the table as Cersei and her 20,000 golden company and blah, blah, blah?
Oh, the Lannister.
Oh, well, now we know.
Yeah, because they have a dragon.
Yeah. So right when she's done with the Iron Fleet in about 14 seconds, we see the Golden Company outside of the gates, just a standoff with them and the Northern Army. We hear some... rumbling,
some off-scene rumbling. You see a perturbed Harry Strickland.
Yeah,
he's like, is that my stomach? Is that what that is? Like,
and boom, Drogon blasts through the gates, wipes out a huge chunk of the Golden Company just in that moment alone. The Northern Army is free to invade, but this series of shots, I wanted to ask what you guys thought because. We spent a lot of time wondering what the hell the Golden Company was. What were they going to be? Were they going to turn on Cersei? I was kind of hopeful of that because I was like, why do they want this to be a big deal? So...
Y'all are way deeper into this than I am ever going to be.
The gate comes down. Drogon easily handles the Golden Company. He's strafing left and right, wiping all of them out.
He is me with a can of Raid when I stumbled upon a line of ants. Like,
and just laughing while you do it. And so a lot of people could say, the Golden Company ended up being a complete joke, right?
Everything is a joke against a dragon.
Yes.
That's what this really boils down to. I mean, again, they could not have been better prepared for this.
Yeah.
And it didn't matter.
That's
what I like. It's like, yeah, you know what? I would have hated for them to out of nowhere just make Harry Strickland a character. I like that, like, in the grand scheme of things, he's just some dude that we saw maybe 4 or 5 times before he gets impaled by Grey Worm.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, like...
But that moment, I thought I didn't catch any of this while I was watching it because I think I was just so blown away that the gate had just come down.
Real quick question.
Yeah.
Is Harry Strickland the
leader of the Golden Company?
Yeah, he only had a couple lines.
The Jaime Lannister looking guy that has a slight more accent.
I got who he is, but is that the character name?
That's his character name.
Okay.
It's a very ironically, it's a very strange
like
name. Yeah. Where everyone else has like a sir.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. I thought he was like some dude I just didn't know that y'all knew.
Ooh.
And like Harry Strickland was just like his name.
You don't know anything about Strickton? Strickle cell anemia?
I legit just like, is he somebody in a band I don't know? And they just know his real name. Because Harry Strickland does not sound of that time.
He's not Aaron Rodgers running through the city. He's not.
Yo, fuck that.
I like that.
Bro, it's the second time. It's the second time in 2 years that he's been killed by someone whose first name is Carl. It's just not Leo Mack. It's Lisi. Anyway.
Anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
What was I saying?
We were talking about the Golden Company.
Oh, yeah. So the shot where... So the whole reason, apparently, that this guy was made a character was the director, Miguel Sapochnik, of this episode. He wanted a guy to sort of be King's Landing's version of Jon Snow in the Battle of the Bastards. So... he wanted the shot where he gets knocked off his horse and he stands up and he's watching the Northern Army come in.
Yeah,
it was supposed to
sort of emulate that.
And I was wondering if you guys got that because I did not. It was supposed to emulate that moment, which was then also supposed to be one of our first clues that Jon and all of them are actually the bad guys today. You know what I mean? And I think that was helping to start plant those seeds, like what was happening over the next few moments. But you guys didn't. I didn't catch.
I didn't catch it.
Yeah.
No. But again, I can see it a little bit more. Again, it's not a carbon copy of that scene because you don't. It's not him. It's him getting up, looking, and then running.
Yeah,
like, I mean that's all it is.
Yeah.
And I mean he's being passed up by like the Dothraki. They don't care. Like they're charging into the city, and it's Grey Worm who gets them. But I mean like I can see that. And again, like I think eventually that's a feeling that dawns on John later in the episode that like, hey, we're not the heroes here. Like when some of the other shots and stuff like that. But.
And throughout all of this, so you start cutting back to some shots of Cersei watching all of this off in the distance.
Mm-hmm. Getting some real quick like updates from Qyburn. All of the scorpions are gone.
I thought that was great. I thought that was a really great moment when
it only takes she's just repeating the lines that she's sort of been fed or fed to other people. You know, like
it's in complete denial.
Yeah, like, it only takes one good shot. And it's like that. I think that's something that like
the scorpions have all been destroyed.
And it's like the Iron Fleet is the greatest. It's like the Iron Fleet is burning.
All that shit you set up and paid for, it ain't going no good now.
Yeah, none of it amounted to anything in the grand scheme.
Yeah. So we have some, we have a battle. The Northern Army makes their way, I don't know, quarter of the way into town. Like we said, we have no idea how big the city is anymore, but they make their way somewhat into the city, and they meet a.
They're in if this is the Attack on Titan city, this is the first set of walls. Like,
yeah.
So the Lannister army surrenders.
They just there's that long Mexican standoff. They're just looking at each other, and the Lannister general's like, "I ain't finna die today."
Yeah,
he just throws down his sword.
Yeah,
Fuck
and it's great. I think we get a moment where
I was tense that entire moment though when Dany lands and like the dragons just like screeching and like all the people are in terror.
Yeah,
and she's just sitting there and watching. And I'm like, something bad is about to happen. Either maybe they missed one scorpion or something like that, and it's something. And obviously, it's what ended up happening. Like that's so the bell
when the bells started to ring, they got me. I did feel relief for about 10 seconds.
It was very uncomfortable though. That it was like probably like 2 minutes of just like not ringing and people calling for it to ring, and it's just like. Just somebody get that gimpy one-handed bastard up there to like, Jamie, what are you doing? And then it finally rings.
Yep. It rings the bell, the bells ring, and there's kind of,
and Daenerys sends him to voicemail.
Yeah. Yeah. And, Varys said a few seasons ago, I don't remember how far back this was, but he made a comment, right, to Tyrion about how much he hated the bells. They ring for horror. They ring for, a siege, a wedding, stuff like that.
Oh.
So it's like, I should have known better than to think that there was actually, like, the bells would ever mean, peace.
I think that was
surrender.
probably back before he left, in like when the Battle of the Bastards season, before he leaves to then go sort of rally, like, Daenerys' army and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because they're in the harbor, I think, when they're talking about... Because this is when they're in Marine,
yeah, maybe.
I believe. Yeah. I don't know. But yeah, no, I didn't think about that scene. But, yeah, no. So again, like, you saw Tyrion. Tyrion was excited.
Yeah.
Tyrion was very excited that the bells were ringing.
Yeah. He had done his job as far as he knew. That was all he could offer was a way of, he knew that
he
the
finally
army was
had a plan that worked. Like,
yeah. And oh man, I don't know that I was thinking that in that moment, but yeah, you're right. I mean, you're thinking like we were waiting for him to get another big win, and moments later, Dany decides to hell with all of this. I guess apparently she's sitting there and she's staring at the Red Keep, and in that moment, she's
seething. She's just like, oh, I shouldn't, but fuck it.
And I heard what culture on YouTube. They had a really interesting explanation today of that particular scene, and they were saying that it's easy to believe that what she's getting upset about is understanding what was taken from her, and that she's going to go destroy the Cersei and exact revenge. But what they made a point that it also feels like what she's she's so upset because she's having to commit to the action she's about to take because she has convinced herself that this is what is necessary.
Because she's very emotional in the scene. Like, I mean, and it's just she is seething. You said the word seething. Like, it's whatever it is she's about. She's not. Maybe she already had decided this is exactly what she was gonna do.
Yeah, and so she's like maybe struggling with, like, which would I guess would help humanize her a little bit. For a lot of people that think that she just turned straight, evil.
I just had a weird correlation in my head that like the points connected. She was very much Infinity War, Guardians of the Galaxy,
Thanos,
nope.
Star-Lord,
very much a Star-Lord moment.
Star-Lord, and no one liked what Star-Lord did. So I guess
like the bells rang, so the city like hey, fuck it, we give up.
Yeah.
Infinity War. Sorry, if y'all motherfuckers ain't seen it.
Infinity War is a couple movies ago. It's been over a year. If you haven't seen it, this is your own damn fault.
Yeah. Or like
Star-Lord gives us the movie Endgame. You're welcome.
Yeah. Yeah, like they almost got the fucking gauntlet, and Star-Lord just loses his shit because of emotion. Like the logic is fucking gone. It's just all logic, and he's like, hey, yeah, well, fuck this thing. Starts beating the shit out of the thing and they get the thing back. But it's like, I've just felt that correlation. She was just like, she's looking at the Red Keep and she's like, this has all been taken from me and my family. This is supposed to be mine. And just thinking of, I don't know, maybe all the shit that the people and things that she's lost, and she just sees red. Like, she's just gone red. She sees a target and she's like, yeah, fuck it, it's happening.
Yeah.
Someone brought up an interesting point to me, and I'm not saying this is exactly what it is. I just thought it was interesting, but just the idea that, like, the bells rang and the city surrendered. So in her mind, it's like, that's all it takes. What if the shoe's on the other foot? What if this is me? What if I'm the queen? Are you going to turn on me?
Oh.
And again, it goes back to her let it be fear then. Like, it just ties back even further to that. Just like, you surrendered, but you're never going to forget. The people who do live through this are never going to forget this day.
Yeah.
And you, again, like, never will I be on the other side of this.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I just thought that was an interesting point. I mean, I don't know if that's exactly what they're going for. And especially since she ends up kind of destroying, like, it's really hard to believe that King's Landing is going to be, like, the place anymore after this.
Yeah.
I mean, like, after again,
y'all trying to go to the fair? Not over there.
Yeah.
They be killing people over there. I ain't going there.
She's just flying, and it looks like she's making that, like, beeline to the Red Keep. And you're like, okay, so she's going to go take that out. All right, that makes sense. But that's not what she does.
Yeah, and so we immediately, I mean, we're seeing crowds running through the streets. We see groups of Lannister soldiers. We see civilians, and like you said, we just saw her take off from the wall. It looks like she's making a beeline to the Red Keep, and then all of a sudden, boom, fire from Drogon onto the streets, wipes out some soldiers first in the first shot, and then immediately just down this entire roadway with like dozens and dozens of civilians, women and children. In that initial shot, it was
hard.
Yeah,
I mean,
my fiance and I were just like, "Oh, they're doing it.
She's doing this thing."
And
then it'll show another scene, but it'll show her again, and it's like she's fucking mowing the lawn. Like, I mean, she's missing spots. Don't get me wrong. Like, I mean, I'd be like, "No, do that again." But no, she's just going down the rows and like,
and they don't show her. They only show Drogon, and some people online feel like there's some importance to that helped
because that's the last time we see her in the entire episode is when they're on the wall. Like, we don't see her again. She doesn't have a line in the entire episode after, like, you know, her conversation with Tyrion. That's not done by accident. I mean,
So I mean, there's that, and then right when you're finally, like, I think when it's starting to soak in what you're witnessing, that's when then we see John and Grey Worm and all of them on the ground, and that standoff had just taken place, and everybody's kind of turned their backs to each other so they could sort of survey the scene.
Yeah, like, hey, what's going on back there?
And Grey Worm loses his shit, picks up his spear, throws it right through the Lannister commander.
Right.
Very disappointing moment for me, personally.
Again, like,
That bothered me.
Pure, he again, it just almost emulated Dany's bloodlust in him. Like, I mean, but to me, it just felt like he was already feeling that, and when he saw what she was doing, he was like, "Cool." That was just like, I can do this too.
Yeah.
Permission granted.
Did you see that? I mean, did you expect
I knew that shit was coming.
Yeah?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like, they didn't kill the chick.
Yeah.
He ain't got no reason.
Well, I expected, I guess I thought maybe things would sort of like be a little bit smaller scale, and he would sort of maybe go after the mountain or something, like they would make their way. And this is
certainly not like throwing a spear through someone who had surrendered to you,
and just sort of initiating like, fuck this city, and I mean, because we all see what starts to happen right afterwards is the realization on John's face that he's not as much of a liberator as he is a conqueror.
Yeah.
Right.
And
saw the murder of like the civilians, women, children. There's the rapes that are happening. Like, it's just it's brutal. Because in that scene, he doesn't immediately charge. Like, I mean, the same way Grey Worm does. He's holding people back. Like, yo, they surrendered.
And Grey Worm looks back and gives him that look. What do you think?
That's certainly
bro, you coming or what?
Yeah.
That's certainly something he will convey to Daenerys, I think.
I think so.
That's
how ridiculous is that? That pisses me off so bad if that was in real life, like him acting like I betrayed Dany because I didn't slaughter. It's like,
I didn't slaughter.
How does that
even
even automatically mean I have an okay just because you're doing it anyways? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what an assumption to make. But I guess at this point he's essentially kind of become her. Might as well be her hand. Tyrion's on his way.
About
Grey Worm.
Grey Worm.
Yeah. I mean, it might as well just be able to do whatever it is that she's up to.
Yeah, that's true.
And so we're all witnessing all of this take place, and then sure enough, it cuts to Tyrion, who's basically got the face of the audience on. He's shocked. He can't believe that she would actually go through with this, and that. He let Varys die.
It's confirming every fear that he could have possibly had. Everything he didn't want to believe is now being confirmed in front of him. I mean, when Varys dies, one of his parting words is like, "I hope this isn't for nothing." He's like, "I hope I'm wrong."
Yeah,
but he wasn't.
Yeah. I mean, Tyrion spent the last.
To be fair, Varys played a role in that. I mean, again, like Dany didn't get here by accident. Like, I mean, like everyone wants to. Like, it's like, oh, when a Targaryen's board, the gods flip a coin. But like everybody along the way has been instrumental in her sort of devolving into this.
That's true.
I mean, I think it's not fair to say that they aren't playing a role in it.
Yeah, they're not all victims.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, at all. But
at the end, the actions are her own. But at the same time, this didn't happen just because she has silver hair.
Yeah.
So I mean,
very true.
But yeah.
So we're watching all this carnage take place. The show gives us a little bit of a break from that for a moment. We see Jaime trying to figure out how the hell he can get up to the Red Keep to get to see Cersei. And as he's trying to enter the cove around the area that Tyrion had told him a dinghy would be waiting for him and Cersei.
I figured a dinghy would be bigger than a rowboat. I mean,
right,
so for some reason, I'm thinking dinghy is at least because he's something about if the winds are kind.
Yeah.
What is the wind going to do for that? Unless that's the fucking red lion from Wind Waker and like a sail's going to pop out. Like, no, you're like, it's.
And if a dinghy is the same as a rowboat, you call it a rowboat. Because you're trying to convince your brother to actually follow this plan.
This is all we could afford. The budget really went into like the destruction of King's Landing. Right. This is the best we could do for a dinghy.
Yeah. So Euron, he shows up.
Mr. Always in the wrong. Hey, I couldn't die off screen.
God, I don't know why he could not die off screen, but he shows up and him and Jaime fight. And I don't know what to say about it because I thought it was stupid.
It was pretty. It was kind of stupid. I agree. I when I saw it, I'm like, really? Like, I mean, geographically speaking, it's obviously right there at the water's edge. He jumped ship, and
yes. Okay, so we would like to think so. But the episode then later on decides to show us wide shots of the city and shows the Iron Fleet is like a mile and a half off in the distance. Did you notice that in that shot? The way they decided to frame that, it's like, who swims back to shore from there?
A very determined person.
Yeah.
Someone who's trying to get one last nut in.
Yeah.
Again, it was ridiculous. It was like it was. You can't even call it fan service. It's the battle no one wanted to see any goddamn way. Like,
Yeah. You know what I'll give them kudos for is making me mad when I thought he killed Jamie.
Yeah.
They got me there because I thought I was like, I was this close to turning my television off and coming back to it tomorrow.
Why?
Yeah.
Why that guy?
Yeah.
Pirate Bam Margera.
Yeah.
So sick of you. Yeah.
Even a pirate Bam Margera would be 3 times better casting. Not casting, but the design of the character. Because the actor's great, but it's the
he is phenomenal, and again, like he's made a character that should be more like more than anything should just be annoying.
Yeah.
Very hateable. Like, I mean, like they haven't given him anything like a whole lot to work with.
Yeah.
He's just like
So apologies to the actor. I don't.
you
don't suck.
It's certainly not you.
I just don't want your character to have things he wants.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
He probably should have been in the series earlier, if that makes sense. I feel like they threw him in once Ramsey died off because they needed another bad.
Yeah. Well, he's a huge deal in the books.
He is. Yeah. They did skimp
And
over
he's
a lot
very
of details.
powerful.
Yeah. There's a lot of like magic to him and stuff like that.
In the books, I guess he has like either he has it or he's suspected to have
the dragon horn,
a horn that will help him maybe like get control over a dragon.
Oh, wow.
but apparently the user who like blows into the horn immediately dies.
Oh,
Yeah. So I mean,
who's in control of the dragon then? The horn?
the whole Euron thing. I mean, like it feels like they wanted him to be a character, but at the same time weren't ever willing to commit all that much to him.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, they might have known. I mean, they might have seen, like, I think they might have realized that they didn't introduce him in a way that was super powerful, and so people didn't, like, catch on. Like, who's this guy supposed to be? Because that was my whole thing, is it's like...
he kind of had, like, a somewhat magical sort of origin, because he shows up, he's on the bridge, and, like, it's almost as if he's commanding the winds. Like, I mean, like, when he throws Balon from, the...
He says,
the
too,
ramparts.
doesn't he say, I am the storm? Or
Yeah,
something
yeah,
like that?
something like that. And it was like, okay, all right, I fuck with this. Like, I mean, like... But yeah, no.
But he didn't stand out. I guess that didn't strike me as the next big bad or anything.
Yeah,
like at all.
Because this is the Greyjoys, and we don't care about the Greyjoys.
I think that's true.
That's really what it is. Sorry, Theon. It's been a couple episodes.
So Jamie, so Euron lands a couple of fatal blows to Jamie. Doesn't kill him in that moment, but
likely would have succumbed to them if it weren't for other things.
Yeah. But Jamie does finally get one last stab in through Euron's chest and takes him out. And
Kingslayer times 2.
Yeah, and that's and Euron says that to him on the way out. Another king for you, because he's so full of himself. I was so not into the Euron character that I was like, okay, you think you're a king? Like,
I know.
I didn't even care.
He's an internet troll. That's it. Like, literally, Euron Greyjoy is a fucking internet troll. It's like, shut up.
Yeah. How did you feel when he looks right up into the camera and says, I'm the man that killed Jamie Lannister?
It's the dying thing that he feels, and he didn't do it. Like, I mean, like, it's the most quintessential Euron Greyjoy thing in the world. Like, I'm the man who killed him. Like, oh, you killed that guy who's walking away? Yeah. Good on you, mate. Like,
but that infection's going to kick in.
Yeah.
He's going to die.
Yeah.
I'm the one who did it.
So, again, like, but it's so him. Like, I mean, like, somehow finding a way to glorify himself. Yeah. I mean, like, that's just Euron gonna Euron.
So we move on from that because I barely cared. And and we get to see Arya and the Hound say farewell to each other.
Yeah.
I thought that was a really, really cool scene. Some people thought that it was a little bit stupid that she followed him that far and then he was able to talk her out of it.
I wouldn't say follow.
Well,
side by side.
Yeah, it was together.
You're right. You're right.
Yeah.
But I think it's probably safe to say that they didn't expect Dany to be destroying everything around them while they were infiltrating that city. They probably assumed they were going to get an opportunity to kind of just sneak in and out and do their thing.
Yeah.
So that's why that scene really worked perfectly for me. And
No, it was great. I mean, again, like I don't know what finally changed her mind because I feel like the entire trip down there is like you shouldn't be coming, and she's like whatever, I'm coming.
Yeah,
shouldn't be coming. Whatever, I'm coming. But yeah, no, he is very real with her, and that like that's I think that is like the point of no return right there, and that's what finally his last sort of like no.
Yeah.
Don't do this. You will become me. Like, I mean, and you won't even get the chance to become me because you'll die.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
Don't let this. Don't let hate and stuff, fill you and like cause you to give you the motivation in life to do things.
Yeah, and it works, and it convinces her.
It does.
She turns around, and the Hound he carries forward and meets.
She calls him Sandor. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Thank you,
Sandor. Thank you.
And I was like, I wanted him to say something just because I knew where he was headed.
You know what? He didn't end up doing like all like the "fuck you, you stupid little bitch."
Yeah. That was enough.
In his own way, it was so great.
The eye contact, the nod. Just all right, I got you.
Yeah,
gotta go do some shit now.
Yeah. And so he meets Cersei, Qyburn, and his brother on the collapsing steps of the Red Keep, and we get
what could be the most beautifully shot scene in the entire series.
Yes, I think you might be right about that.
Oh my gosh, the collapsing tower, and it's the mountain, and then you just see the dragon fly by in the back.
Yep.
And you're just like, what this is.
Yeah. I think the only thing
that's the money shot. Like,
yeah, I think I would if you could have. Yeah, I was just trying to say if I could get one of those frames where I could see the Hound's face.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. That would be like I'd blow that up and I'd have that as a mural on my wall. Even the one that they do have, that one shot, I would totally get that as the biggest painting I could possibly find. So we get it, Clegane Bowl.
Put it right in the baby.
Clegane Bowl.
What'd you guys think?
Went how I thought it was going to go.
Oh God damn it.
Can I be honest? And this is so we can throw this in as being the Derek of the show.
Okay,
this is me being Derek. As it was happening and after it finished, I realized like in theory it seemed much cooler than when it finally happened. I'm like, I wasn't really all that invested in either of these people.
Okay,
that's really what it was. I mean, it's like I thought I really wanted this and it happened, and I'm not saying it was bad, but like I don't think I cared as much as I thought I would.
Okay. Yeah. Do you mean that? So no matter what they had chosen to do, you might not have.
No, just like the idea that like whatever beef they had didn't resonate with me in the same way that like when any of the other sort of like square offs with like you had like Jon and Ramsay, which was obviously like even a much smaller thing, but that was great. When he's coming at him with the shield and he's like shooting the bow, like that was cool. And it was again different sort of battle. It's one of those things that it sucks because like straight up the Hound won. He kicked the shit out of the mountain. Yeah. The only thing is that the mountain is a unkillable zombie.
Yeah. I was a little bit. Yeah, I think
I thought he looked a little goofy too.
Really?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, he looked, it was like,
he looked
like, man, you all right up there?
He looked like roided out Shrek. Like, it was just...
I did like the, like when the Hound knocked the helmet off and like, all they're fighting and the armor comes off and he's like, yeah, there you are. Like, to me, that's how you've, that's how I've always seen you. Yeah. You've always been what you are right now. But yeah, that whole thing happened. And then just cruising the internet, I see a picture of the two actors on the boat, like just chilling out. What's the Hound is what 6'7" or something like that.
He's a really tall guy.
And Homeboy is like another like 3 or 4 inches over him.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'd rather just watch this.
Yeah.
Let's see this adventure. They give a shit about that fight. Like these guys, they're going to be fun to drink with.
Another thing about it though is that it ties so far back to they have obvious beef back in season 1. I mean, like you're going all the way back to season 1.
Well, because they're brothers. So
they're brothers.
They got beef from.
But when he's going all when the mountain's going all savage because he loses the fucking jousting match, and he comes in and he starts fighting him, like. After that, we don't see them ever again together until like
season 7.
Season 7, when they like, and it's just, and you hear some backstory from the Hound. You never hear anything from the Mountain. Like it's just, I don't.
Well, okay, so
I'm sure it's something
that
that's
become Zombie Mountain.
Sure that it's something that we'll get to. that is probably expanded upon much more in the books. I'm certain of it. Like,
Maybe. I guess I just thought not to. I haven't really like predicted this season very well or anything like that, but
none of us have, for the record.
But I think that I guess it makes when the Hound was always a side character, so ultimately when we're into our last couple of episodes, we didn't need this for the story to be able to conclude properly.
Sure.
But the Hound was around, and he played a big role throughout the series. Fan favorite kind of character. It made so much sense for him and Arya to be the ones infiltrating the city together and everything like that. So I think that the fact that we knew what the Hound's story was through the series, that he was left for dead by Arya, was brought back by the Lord of Light for something. I think it was fair to assume that that something was always going to it was still going to be small. It was still going to be just beef with him and his brother, kind of a thing, rather than him turning out to be like Azor Ahai or something.
But again,
you know
like
what I mean?
even just the whole concept that it's like rooted in the fact that like when he was a kid, he burned his face. Like,
yeah.
It just talk about it. Like, I mean, like, I don't know. It just, to me, I don't know. It's just, maybe that's just the culmination. Maybe it was a whole lot of other things too. It had to have been.
Yeah.
But
I think, but it happened to him at such a young age that it's safe to assume they don't necessarily have lines of dialogue to flesh this out, but I think it is safe
that's
to...
what I mean. I think we could have used some like back and forth between them. I think
between the two characters?
The Mountain was such a forgettable character to the point where they fucking recast him 3 times.
Yes.
Like to the point where like he was off the show and no one cared, and they're like, oh, we need him for other things, so we're going to bring him back.
Yeah, and that might
it'll
be
someone
part
else.
of
But
why
they recast him 3 times?
3 times.
He was.
Holy
This guy's
shit.
the third one.
This guy's the best one. Don't get me wrong.
Like the other 2 dudes are just like, hey, what about us?
Forgettable. Yeah.
I don't know why they necessarily do the recastings, but
Wait,
because it's
was
not
he
like this
always-
Mountain has dialogue.
I know. Yeah.
like
Was he always behind the... I know once he became Zombie Mountain, like he was always behind the mask.
No, the Viper in the Mountain episode.
Yeah,
that's
right.
when we see him. That's that actor. This most recent actor. That's the time that's the episode that you see him just with his shirtless and everything.
You've definitely seen him without like the mask in the previous. He kind of just looks like a taller, less malformed Hound in the early episodes.
Okay. But did we like... Yeah.
But that's how forgettable it is,
yeah,
right?
Like I don't even remember the other 2 dudes. Like I don't remember their faces
because they're such like you couldn't even call them secondary characters. It's like, oh, I think that really tall guy is the Mountain, and they called him the Mountain. I guess that's him.
The second one is really forgettable because Tywin just sends him off somewhere.
Yeah, it's like it's in season 2 when they're at Harrenhal or something. That's basically it.
Hey Jimmy, you think you can go get some hot dogs?
He
from the
looks
store?
enough like the first guy where you think it's the same person.
Yeah.
They're like, no, they're different. It's like you didn't have to tell me that.
Yeah.
But so we don't forget it. He becomes zombified after his battle with Oberyn because Oberyn, beats him. The guy that fights for Tyrion to become free beats him, poisons him a bunch with that spear. So he's gonna die.
Oberyn was from
Dorne.
Okay,
but he's the one who gets to the finish him move of the Mountain. Because he tried it again in this episode. So he's basically left to die, and it's Qyburn who stops that from happening, but doesn't stop it all. Like he is dead, but he's just that's why Qyburn isn't a maester. It's because he does these weird sort of experiments, and I mean, you saw the way his face lit up when he was like, "Dead people can be alive." He's like,
somebody online was saying Qyburn's a better Night King than the Night King because he can resurrect people and they keep their memories because the Mountain remembered his brother.
That was because he was so crazy loyal. But just seeing Sandor there at the end, it's like, stand by your queen, and he's like, nah.
Yeah, and I thought that was kind of stupid at first, but then somebody mentioned that then the scene would really have no weight if the Hound is trying to murder his brother, and then you'd have the zombie just going, "Who the fuck is this guy?" Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
you took everything from me. I don't even know who you are.
Yeah. But okay, so just real quick, just to defend the decision to have the Clegane Bowl.
I think it had to happen. I do. No, I don't. Again, I don't look at it as like, this was
It
stupid.
wasn't filler. It was a thing that had to happen. But
I just when it was rectified, I'm just like,
But I do buy into that moment when they were children being the moment that defined the Hound, because they specifically went out of their way when they initially tell that story. It's mentioned that nobody came to his defense. They lied, made up a story to protect the mountain, and
as kids,
as kids, his family took the mountainside, and
they saw what he could do. With somebody's face,
and the fact that Sir Gregor grows up and becomes a knight is a huge part of why the Hound wants nothing to do with the Kingsguard, does not want to be a knight. It is a huge, it's a pivotal. I mean, it is the pivotal piece of what makes the Hound throughout his entire lifetime, and so I guess that's why it's such a. Even though we don't see them have interactions together really.
Right.
I can feel that hatred throughout the
So here's the thing. I think, to me, it seems like the Hound was a more like an important character to you.
Yeah.
I'm just for whatever reason, it didn't click with me. With him. So I think there are problems. It's just again, like I appreciate like his. I think Rory did a phenomenal job. Like the whole thing is very well acted. He's hilarious. He says some of the most.
Great one-liners.
My favorite scene ever is him and Arya outside of the tavern when they eventually kill all of those Lannister men for the chickens.
Yeah.
And she sees the guy that has her sword that stole it, and she goes, something, he has my sword, Needle. And the Hound's like, what the fuck is, or what's Needle? And she's like, it's my sword. And he goes, Needle. Of course you named your sword. And she goes, lots of people name their swords. Lots of cunts. favorite Sandor line of all time.
I think that entire season is just. Because it's the most Hound-heavy scene, season. But like when she's like doing the practicing with the sword, and he's like the greatest, because he's talking about that how Stereo dies to Meryn Trent. And he's like, and any fucker could kill Meryn Trent. And he's like, we didn't have a sword. He's like, the greatest swordsman of all time didn't have a sword. He's just baiting her so hard. It's fantastic. But again, so what I'm getting at is that, like, for whatever reason, I could see myself going back and watching and be like, hey, just focus on focus on the show overall, but focus heavily on the Hound this time throughout. And I could probably pick up on a lot more. And maybe where I would get some, this would feel a little bit better.
There are YouTube mashups where it's just like one character's journey.
Okay.
Like somebody's gone and picked out all of this character's scenes throughout the series, and it's like an hour's worth of content per character or whatever. You could just do that. Sure. That's cool. And so that might help. Like, go back and see some of that. Quick backtrack. Bye Qyburn.
Yeah.
Like we said,
again, you just start to think like, how are some of these people going to die? And it is like, they showed that up really quick.
That one, I like it now that I've had almost a week to sit on it, but when it happened, I was like, why?
The master being destroyed by the creation. It's the ultimate like Frankenstein play. Like it's so I mean, like, it showed like how little control to that point. He had all the control in the world over Sir Gregor.
Yeah,
but it didn't matter.
How did he die again?
He gets Gregor up against the wall.
Tries to command the mountain to obey his queen, and Gregor just goes.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah.
And then Cersei's like, noted, and then just walks right by.
So you got this? All right.
It was very cute that the Hound just like, he addresses her as her grace and lets her walk right past.
Yeah.
And
he can straight up end the war right there. He is so focused on his goal.
How about throw your friend Arya a bone? Yeah. Like really make sure she gets out of the city.
He knew exactly what he was about. Like, yeah. So he does end up perishing in this. Like, he busts them. Like, he tackles them through the wall. Fucking die already.
Yeah.
He survives the eye thing.
Yeah.
If only momentarily. But again, like, he's not going to beat him. Like, I mean, like, because he can't be beat. He stabs him right through the head, and he's like, no. Yeah. And it's like, okay, so even the old zombie tactics don't work. So he pushes them through the wall into what he's feared his entire life, the fire.
Yeah.
And like
they fall hundreds and hundreds of feet into the fire. It was an amazing piece of I loved the music that was playing over it.
You just imagine the mountain's going to come out all Terminator-ish.
Oh, that would suck so bad after all that. That scene was just great. Rory sort of almost laugh crying. Out of all of that, the desperation and the frustration that you hadn't seen his character deal with any of that, so that was awesome. So, Kagane Bowl happens. That was huge for me at the very least. I know it was big for a lot of people online who have been wanting it for years. I know that the actors, Rory and the guy that plays the mountain, they had been looking forward to it a lot. Apparently, it took them months to build that set, and they did not use stuntmen for any of that stuff. So that was really cool. That's something that Derek would really like to key on too.
Yeah, I really noticed that. I noticed the lack of stunt work.
And so
appreciate that sort of thing. Come Oscar season.
So as we said, the Hound let Cersei, wander past them, and she reaches that
map room.
Yeah, that was pretty heavy in season 7, and Jaime also stumbles in, dying from his wounds.
One of the last place they were together too.
It was. That's right. Yeah.
How do y'all be remembering all this?
Yeah, that was when the mountain almost executed him. Yeah. What do you think is going on in her mind? I mean,
I think so. Again, it happens before she starts to descend the staircases when she goes to Qyburn. Whatever mode she was in from the moment, the moments before she blew up the Sept, from that point to her watching Daenerys burn the city to the ground, she comes out of it. She comes back to still Cersei sucks, but I mean, she goes back to pre-High Sparrow Cersei.
Yeah.
It just was it's she woke up from that dream. She is suddenly full of fear. She is it's almost reminiscent of the character that was in the dungeons before the Walk of Shame. It was just
vulnerable. Very vulnerable.
Very vulnerable. And it wasn't fake. It was very genuine. It wasn't and yes, there's some sort of well, now you're scared. You had all the opportunities. But again, you have to take her at her word. I mean, that was very, very much the character that we saw for a lot of the show, who was ruthless and calculating, but had some limit. Had some limit, which obviously wasn't what she was when she blew up the Sept. That was her limit break, if you will. It was just, she was back to that and in the room with the person that she loved more than anyone, carrying their child.
Yeah.
And nothing mattered other than again, I know what I thought I wanted in this scene, but when I saw what she had become or reverted to, I didn't want it anymore.
Okay.
So I mean, there are a lot.
Did you originally want?
I wanted Jaime to kill her because I wanted her to still be this evil entity. I wanted her to be maybe she was about to set off the wildfire in the city or something like that. And he, in a very similar display to what was going to happen, what he did to Aerys, does her in, because she is hateful and so is he, and he's the only one who can take care of this. But that's not the character he runs into.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's not that same Cersei. It's not the blow up the city Cersei.
Yeah.
That person's out there flying around on a fucking dragon.
Yeah. So he takes her down to where Tyrion had instructed them to.
Where Robert took all his whores.
Yeah. Down there with all the dragon skulls and everything, and they're supposed to make their escape through one of those passageways, but because of Dany's destructive behavior, they're trapped. And this turns out to be our final moments with Jaime and Cersei. They entered the world together and left the world together.
In the arms of her little brother.
Yep. Cersei dies in the arms of her little brother while the Red Keep collapses around them.
That's an interesting thing though. Because we don't ever see it after that, but the Red Keep's gone, right? It's got to be.
Well, the Red Keep is where the Iron Throne is, correct?
Correct.
So at least I imagine that at least that floor of it is still there, because I think that's in the preview
see it.
thing. I don't know if the throne's there, but I mean, I think that's the part of the Red Keep that Danny exits from in the preview for the next episode.
Yeah, for sure.
So it might not all be like rubble all to the
just
ground.
seeing like the way that like thing happens, like 9/11 style, like with the just like piling through the catacombs there. I'm just like, is there anything left?
No,
like,
you're right. Yeah,
it looked like a full on like just collapse of
like an implosion.
Yeah.
I guess I'm assuming
Hashtag
that we're
Dragonfire
still...
can melt steel beams.
I'm assuming that we'll see the shot like from her season 2 vision.
Okay. Yeah.
That's why I'm assuming that much is still
I do.
there.
I do too. I mean, again, like that's just not something. There's a part of me that thought like maybe in all of this she destroyed everything.
Yeah.
But they do have like this sort of sense that they want to harken. Even if there's the scene where the dragon's flying over the city.
Yeah.
That's the scene from Bran's vision. And
Yeah.
like, as soon as I saw it, I'm like, oh, I remember that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do believe that yes, that's what we'll see.
Yeah. Oh man, so you think it was the proper send off for them, Jay?
Did you need to see a pregnant woman die in any other fashion?
I mean, when you put it like that,
No, that's the thing. It's like, oh yeah, it wasn't brutal enough. It's like, oh, like a woman being, in the arms of her lover, carrying their child that has an entire castle collapse upon him. That wasn't brutal enough for you. Like, I mean, like you needed more than that.
Yeah, and if you hate her, you hate her character and you want her to suffer. I mean, she was suffering all the way up until that moment. She knew what was coming.
Yeah,
like I mean that's
shit.
way better than somebody hitting you with an arrow, like unbeknownst to you from 100 yards away.
Yeah, and I mean, plus, we've seen many a thing where people get trapped under shit. She could still be suffering.
Yeah, she might not.
so?
She might
not die right away.
She's gonna die, like no doubt. But yeah,
Some people online think that that Jamie's going to turn out to still be alive just because
with all of his wounds.
Yeah, because the actor didn't give like a farewell Instagram post. And so I'm like, what? That's the parameters.
That's your
that we
basis
set for that. Yeah.
He's out there banging your girlfriend. That's why he's not putting up a farewell Instagram post.
I don't know. It finished off all right with me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Again, like I said to begin it, like
I would have much liked for Arya to get her, her whatever, but whatever. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Fucking the whole building fell on top of them. Like, It's cool. I'm all right with that.
Well, speaking of Arya, so she decided to turn around after the Hound sent her off, and but she's not out of danger yet.
No.
We have a really, really cool sequence. Cool, but horrible in the sense
horrifying, but like visually pleasing to be watching and not having to deal with.
Yeah. But lots of imagery that resembles the 9/11 disaster.
Yeah.
People online pointed out other bombing campaigns that I'm not a history expert. I don't want to pretend that I know what they were talking about, but I mean, you've got wildfire blowing up. These caches are getting ignited from the dragonfire and stuff. So buildings are literally blowing up. They're not just falling down or burning. I mean, it is chaos throughout that city. Really, really cool shots following Arya as she's trying to help people. She's trying to run away from everything. What did you guys? Do you have any thoughts on the sequence? Did you think that she was safe? Or did you
It wasn't just. I just want to point out it wasn't just wildfire, because we saw several scenes of Dany still laying waste to a city that's pretty fucking wasted.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, she's still going back and forth at that point.
So I kept seeing, all that, the destruction and the dragon, and I'm just like, does this motherfucker ever run out of fuel? Like, what does he got to eat?
I know,
literally, like, I don't know. That's just where my brain goes, because, I'm not, like, super, like, pointed on it, right? I'm just very surface on shows and shit.
No,
so
I gotcha.
I'm like, this motherfucker ain't ran out of flames yet.
Yeah.
Like,
well, I thought that.
bro, the city is done. Look. This is the equivalent of making sure that steak is well fucking done.
Yeah.
Like, bro, the animal's dead. You don't have to kill the meat. Like, you can fly off now. Shit's done.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I see her. I liked. I was kind of sitting there thinking like, why is this mother and this girl important, right? Like, what's their thing? And then I just kind of, I guess the plot device of that is for Arya to really have something like, like, okay, well, my family's kind of back. Yeah, these people died, whatever, but like to really give her for like the next episode, like that real like
the human element.
Yeah, the human element. Yeah, but like that real like, oh, somebody got to die.
Yeah, you're right.
It's a callback from earlier because the Hound and Arya make it into the Red Keep, and it keeps them from being out. Like they kind of like cut in front of them in line. They get in the Red Keep. This family that would have been kind of going, like this mother and daughter that would have been getting in, didn't because of that. Later, this same woman saves, or not save, I mean, but gets Arya because Arya is like, you know, covered in soots and like, you get out of here. Like, I mean, so she kind of, or is she being trampled at that point? I think she might be being trampled. Yeah. And then she picks her, like, it's the same mother, and she picks her up. It's the woman that didn't get in there. I mean, probably for better.
Yeah.
Because of Arya, and then she's seeing her again, but she's out here in all this chaos. And then so it's almost as if she's trying to return the favor. As the Dothraki are exiting, the mother gets tossed to the side and injured in some capacity. So the daughter's with her, and they're trying to like limp off, and you just see Drogon in the background swooping in, to kill the 8 people there because fucking why not?
Yeah.
And then I mean, Arya's trying to get him, and then just try to take the daughter, and the daughter won't go, and Arya escapes, but then comes back, and like just everyone's toasted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, when it's all said and done and things do finally settle, Jon has pulled his men out of the city. Mm-hmm.
Does he kill his own man? That's a northerner, is it not?
Yeah, the guy that he did kill, the rapist guy.
Yeah, the rapist.
Oh yeah. Well,
because he wasn't unsullied, and he obviously wasn't Dothraki, so I assume he was like either of House Aaron or at least of the North. And like he's about to engage in this unconsensual act of and so he grabs him, and then the dude takes a swing at him. Like, this is his king in the North. I mean, like Jon might not know who that guy is, but that guy knows who Jon is.
Yeah,
and he takes a swing at him, and Jon just. I mean,
yeah. And you know what? I didn't even catch that he took a swing to him. I noticed that there was like a pause, but I missed. Yeah, so that must.
I
have been
think
what
at that
did.
point, he didn't give a shit about the king of the
North.
North. Shit.
Yeah,
he was just on some.
You're
like,
right. That's
like, bro, like, why are you blocking? Like, this bitch is mine. Like, you know how war goes.
You can have her next.
Yeah. Like, his whole thing was like, no, I'm getting this, and Jon was like, the fuck, no, like you got to die.
Yeah.
Like at that point, you could have been a Northman. It could have been anybody.
Yeah.
And Jon was like, nah. Because Jon still has that he still got that heart. He still got the honor and shit.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, this is not what he signed up for.
No.
Yeah, so Jon's pulled everybody out, and we see things start to quiet down a little bit. Arya is left there, covered in ash and everything like that. Yeah.
With that awful, like, death rattle cough.
Yeah.
Like, as I'm hearing it, I'm like, did they make her do the cinnamon challenge for this? Like I remember that cough from doing the cinnamon challenge.
And we see a white horse.
A pale horse.
A pale horse, yeah. Oh. So it's interesting that you
Game of Thrones Uber service.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got lost over there, and then there was this fucking dragon. So
Arya, are you Arya?
So, what are your thoughts on the symbolism there?
So I know there's some stuff in the books, and I don't remember if it's ever stuff that makes it into the show, but like something about like it's that masked lady from back in Karth, Quaithe and Karth.
Yeah.
And she says something to Daenerys about beware the pale rider or something like that, or something of that nature. But I mean, and then after it will come like the Kraken, the Sun's son, which could reference like the people of Dorne, the dragon, which would be Jon.
Kraken would be Euron, I guess.
Yeah, or Yara. I mean, like Yara's still a Kraken.
Okay.
But again, so in that secession, it was weird because it was like beware the pale horse, and then all of these people.
Oh, and then all of those people.
Yeah. So I mean, so it feels like something that probably would have already happened.
Okay.
So that prophecy is kind of weird, but just I mean, the symbolism of the pale horse throughout history, in the Bible.
That's what I thought.
I mean, like
that's what death rides.
That's what death rides. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, they're really setting it up, but I don't see it.
And I thought it made it seem like she was exiting the city, but then she's in the preview trailer.
She is, yeah.
Right?
I mean, she might be evacuating the same way that Jon did, but like, I mean, she's certainly not done.
Yeah.
I mean,
okay.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay. So, and that was the closing shot of the episode. So that was episode 5, The Bells of Game of Thrones season 8.
King's Landing.
So now,
not saved by the bells.
Yeah, no. We have one episode left. We have about 80 minutes. Did that left.
Did that make your hair stand up when you were watching the preview for the next episode? And it's like on the final episode of Game of Thrones.
Oh.
I saw that like that scroll, and I'm like it is like it's over. This is it. Make no mistake where you are.
No, not you, Jay. No.
You're just ready for it to be over? Huh? You're ready for it to be over? Not like I'm ready to get through this, but you're like I don't know. Like, I don't want it to be. I don't think
once again. See how invested you guys are?
I will be. I
you watch it 85,000 times and fucking YouTube shit. I watch that shit Sunday night, nigga. I don't watch it again till ever.
I am hopefully optimistic that I will again, like, because I have not been any of these people that have been upset. The show's never done me dirty.
Okay,
I mean,
so this is. I feel shitty admitting this, and I'm going to be all right with that in life. And the listeners are going to be like, "What the fuck is wrong with this guy?" Sorry, guys. I feel more upset about like things happening in fucking CW and the Arrowverse coming to a close.
Shut up!
Oh my God!
I'm more invested. I'm more invested over there. I'm not invested over here.
Well, I won't talk shit. I haven't watched any of those shows.
Those are my
yet,
shows,
so.
man.
Enjoy your Robert Pattinson Batman.
You take that.
Say it.
No, no one's letting that fucking. No.
Hey, isn't everybody
Fucking
always
glitter bomb?
pissed about who Batman is, though?
Always.
Yeah.
Always.
I'm bored with that.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I don't think anybody had like any negative takes initially on Christian Bale, but like Batfleck, obviously.
yeah.
Anybody who isn't Michael Keaton, and I'm sure even back in the day,
When Michael Keaton was cast, people were pissed.
yeah.
They were like, "Why the hell would?"
what's Mr. Mom doing as Bruce Wayne?
I think they just do it on purpose. It's how they sell tickets.
It is, yeah.
Like,
Everybody
guy
knows
fuck
the Batman
up.
story.
They could cast someone named Bruce Wayne to play Batman. Just this billionaire guy who actually is Batman. They'd be like, "No, this is terrible casting." Look at that jawline.
Yeah.
Not my Batman.
So real quick, just before we wrap this up, next, I'm curious.
No hints at all in the preview, by the way.
Right,
They gave
which
you
I love.
nothing.
I
mean,
love.
because again, like we went back to the Euron looking up at the sun. We knew something was going to happen. Like I mean, like that. Nothing in this episode other than her just walking and seeing all like her army in what's left of King's Landing. Just that's it.
So, it's very, very difficult to predict how this is going to end, but we don't have that much to work with anymore. No. So, for the fun of it, what do you think? How do you think this closes? You want to talk about who we think is going to be left alive when this is all said and done? I know we're not concerned with anybody sitting on the Iron Throne anymore, but we do need to figure out who's going to rule in general. Are we going to see Sansa end up ruling in the end? Is Tyrion going to survive all of this and be in charge of anything? Is nobody going to be in charge of anything because there's nothing left to rule over?
That would be. I like the idea of like maybe a death to the old order and maybe something new. Mm-hmm. I saw one theory that I really liked, and I think it was that essentially that while Daenerys has a claim to the throne and Jon has a better claim, Jon clearly doesn't want it. Daenerys ends up dead by whatever means that is. Jon vacates it. Like, Jon doesn't want anything. Maybe he plays a role in her death. Maybe that's what it is. And maybe he goes up north and, lives that life that, he is better suited for. Like, up above the wall. Really, like, the only place that he ever truly belonged.
Okay.
And then we'll get that like actual good ghost reunion.
Yeah,
maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's why they didn't give it to us before.
Probably.
I'm coming home.
Yeah,
coming home. And then like, what if because the destruction of King's Landing is what it is, and it's going to take so long to rebuild? That's no longer the hub of the entire Seven Kingdoms. Maybe not that Winterfell's in like any greater shape, but like Sansa is the best fit to rule at this point.
Yeah.
She does technically have a marriage to Tyrion. I mean, they could become like this power family, and so I like the idea of Sansa being the ruler when it's all said and done.
Okay.
That being said, as far as like major characters that I think are going to die, just looking over at the list, I do think, like I said, Dany's done. I do think Arya's done.
Okay. These are all the people we still got left?
Yeah.
Yeah. The list does get shorter, though. That's the funny. Like, I'm like, this list was longer last week.
Yeah, and then even then, the last two, the Jan, Royce, and Dario, those are. I don't think I just didn't delete them.
Yeah.
But I don't think we're seeing Dario again.
Daenerys dying makes it weird for Drogon to still be alive, and I don't know how you kill Drogon. Like,
I know.
That's.
But I thought.
What if she does die, and then what does he do after that? Like, he's just like, all right, well, deuces. Like what if he just takes off? I've heard some theories that like Bran wargs into him and like fucking drowns him in the sea or something.
Oh shit!
I'm like, that's so morbid.
Yeah, especially because you could have done that before last episode.
Well, I mean, there's probably no way Jon can. There's no way Jon could get him. I don't think. I mean, even though he was Targaryen, like. And they're like, the dragon riders.
Yeah.
She's like, no, that was my mama. You killed her.
Do you foresee a scene where we find out that Jon is also possibly an unburnt? Like maybe he is subjected to the flame?
Yeah, maybe. But then even then, I don't know if Dany cannot be burned by like a pyre fire.
That's true.
Can Dany be destroyed by Drogon? Because you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't even know if that's necessarily like firmly
right.
Well, clearly not the same fire. Clearly, as we've found out, a lot of people had issues with that. Like, how does fire destroy stone? It's like it's not fire.
Yeah.
It's like basically super napalm.
Yeah.
Like it's I don't know. But those are my takes. I do like the idea of Bronn making it out of all this, and somehow, like again, like because in my view, Tyrion's still alive. Maybe he gets Highgarden. Like just seeing him be Lord of Highgarden.
Well, at this point, if they drug that out on the poor guy, like his entire existence on the series, they might as well pay that off and finally give him.
I want to. Even though I have Daenerys dying, I could see Grey Worm. I just have this in my mind. I have this scene of Grey Worm, maybe even him coming to grips with the things that he did and like not feeling good about it, and then going to Narth or Noth or whatever it is, and living out his years there and being the protector of the peaceful people or something. Like again, like in this, he obviously subjected himself to some bloodlust, and maybe he kind of comes back from that. Maybe he's like, "What the fuck did I do?"
Yeah, he can maybe redeem himself because it's not like we didn't see him kill civilians.
He was still killing soldiers. They were soldiers that had, obviously thrown down their arms. Yeah. But again, still people that were complicit in,
lots of things.
Yeah.
Up to that point.
Not innocents.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. Okay, well, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I pretty much agree with most of the stuff you're saying. I don't know how do you think Arya dies because, like, she gets cut off by Grey Worm while she's trying to assassinate Dany or something, or
so I think so. If I had to take a guess at it, I think she's gonna make a play, but I don't think it's gonna be like necessarily even an attempt on Daenerys' life, because that's not gonna be enough. Because what it's gonna take, I think, for Jon to do Dany in is that maybe she's trying to. I don't think she gets as far as like knife to the throat or something like that, because I don't know how Jon defends that.
Yeah,
but it could be that too, and then like maybe he's like, please spare her, she's my sister. I get it. Like I mean, like she is wrong, but then Dany no mercy is just like no, Dracarys, and then that would be finally what snaps him. But again, like why would she ever put herself in a position where she'd be close enough to Jon?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it really boils down to none of us have any goddamn idea.
Yeah. Anything, Jay? Any final thoughts? You're just waiting?
Just waiting
for Sunday? Okay.
Just waiting.
Okay. Well, that's what we're all doing. We're waiting for Sunday.
1-1 is still alive. We'll sit on the Iron Throne.
Oh, that'd be so nice.
Who?
1-1.
The big
giant.
The big giant.
He's super dead.
Super dead.
Just by the way. Yeah.
I didn't even know he had a name.
Yeah.
He has one name. And it's twice.
All right, so that's going to conclude this episode of Exoverse TV. Thank you to Danny and Jay from the Retox Podcast for joining me. Make sure you follow them on Facebook and Twitter at the Retox Podcast. Yeah, sorry, Derek. We missed you. Looking forward to seeing you on the next one. Please follow me on Twitter at ExoverseTV and on Facebook at Exoverse Media. And I'll see you guys next time. Thank you very much.
Cheers. I said cheers.
Hey guys, just wanted to give you a quick update on some other things happening on the Exoverse Media website. Some friends of mine in Texas released a new song. Check out The Final Burial on the Exoverse Media website. Just click on the music tab and select The Final Burial right there. There's links to their Twitter, Instagram, Facebook pages, and you can stream their new track, Extinction, right there on their page on the Exoverse Media site. You can also check out thefinalburialtx.bandcamp.com for more information on how to follow them and other tracks that are available to stream right there. So go ahead and check them out. Thank you, guys.